Hi friends, welcome to my show Learning from the Life Experiences. And today we are going to learn from the life experiences of Mr. Yasir Malik. Mr. Yasir Malik is a successful scientist at Kent University. Let's know more about Mr. Yasir. Hi Yasir, how are you?
Hello, ma'am. Thank you for inviting me. Such a pleasure again to see you. And I think you have called me up here for some grilling questions, but I'm more than interested in knowing what you want to ask. So, yeah.
So Yasir, you are working at Kent University as a scientist, and naturally your journey so your post or your position is fascinating many youth today. Can you please throw some light on your journey? How did you reach there?
Ma'am, the journey is still continuing in a way, as all journeys in life do. So, because more than anything, life is more about journey than arriving at a destination, and that's how I see. So, I see myself in the role of a scientist, but as a traveler. But the long and short of this is that I did my schooling from Delhi, and then my bachelor's in biotechnology again from Delhi. Did my master's in toxicology, and then because I was very clear from the outset that I want to train for a scientist, and at that time, of course, even as now in India, that is not something which is looked over as a profession. You know, people don't understand exact what path to take to become a scientist. However, even I didn't had any sort of family background which would push me towards science. Most of the people in my family were into some sort of business. But yeah, as I went on, I realized that these are the things which are to be done, and these are the don'ts. In 2013, I joined an institute in Delhi, a research institute, just to test my feet whether I have that inside me to go through the grueling process of PhD in science. And after that, in 2014, I came here and I did my PhD from one of the most reputed universities in UK, in Dundee, in Scotland. And just as I finished there, I was appointed at the position of junior scientist here at Kent University.
Thank you
So
very
that's
much,
how it has been.
Yasir. Yes, it was really very inspiring. But to be very frank, let me ask one question. It said that nowadays nobody is interested into research work because everybody wants instant money, instant job, instant profession, and nobody has time. Their 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years to spend in the research. It is considered as like those were the days when people used to spend this much time in the research field. So what exactly was the reason? Who has inspired you, and what was the instinct that has motivated you to be a scientist?
Uh, Ma'am, again, for most of us in life, even for me, it is never a straight journey. Like we never are born with a scientist or an engineer written over our foreheads. You know, it is after gaining experiences in life. I don't know as to when. I mean, back in school, as you must be knowing, I was always good in science, and science was something that used to fascinate me. That is given, but it's not like I was bent on becoming a scientist from my school days. Yes, after that, when I entered into college, I thought that is a profession that that could be well explored. But at the same time, I was into reading about the other more soft and the more nuanced taste of life, like literature, philosophy, history, and that actually rather informed me about the kind of journey that I would want to make, in a sense that I started enjoying science for the very knowledge of it, the very thing that drives to curiosity to answer a question about how something is, why does it happen, how that thing exists. And yes, as you rightly said, money is always a temptation. It still is, and after a certain time in life. But I think if uh, it is knowledge that you are driven for, personally, I have always been excited by something that intellectually stimulates me more than money. So I think it's like a germ Some people have those germs, some people do not. Those who are infected with that virus, they cannot just go to bed without passing the day, unless they are intellectually stimulated by anything. So for me, being into a profession was about being intellectually stimulated, and this is something which keeps me continuously intellectually stimulated. Of course, the remuneration that I get in the form of money is also enough for me, and I think that is all that is required. And as I said, it is still a journey. I'm far from arriving at a destination. So yes, we'll see how that goes.
That's really great on your part that you have said that the people who are like the people who are intellectually quite high, so they cannot be satisfied without satisfying their intellect, and that's the reason why you have taken this. But I am convinced with your answer, and I have always high regards for the scientists, those people who are into research, the people who are into lots of readings, the people who are into lots of pondering, lots of observation, the people who are always into deep thinking. So I have high regards for them. But how, suppose if there is a boy or girl of 18 years, 19 years, 20 years, how can we convince them that this field is a very attractive field, or we can say here you are going to get all sorts of satisfaction, your intellectual satisfaction, your monetary gain, everything is there. How we are going to convince them?
Yes, ma'am. But I think just before answering that question, I would like to go to the prelude of that part, which is that this is a sort of a disease at the moment in the society, that as soon as a child almost enters adolescence, we are pushy, or in a sense, the society pushes it to go for a career path which rewards more in terms of money rather than intellectual satisfaction. And as a result, the children are not even able to understand what an idea of intellectual stimulation or intellectual satisfaction is, and hence they are derailing onto a path which is leading them supposedly to earn big money. At sometimes, very few of them are successful in terms of monetary terms, in terms of wealth, but a vast majority of them are actually in a lurch where they have neither found the intellectual satisfaction and nor the kind of money that they have to be making. To this, I answer like this: that if in life, for most of us, if in life you are able to account for people who have reached that level of wealth, satisfaction by wealth, if you come across them and ask them what is that they miss, they would not be able to even answer what is that they miss. They would be able to say that yes, there is something that they are missing, but they don't know what is that. And that is where intellect comes in, because they haven't experienced the richness that comes from intellectually satisfying yourself. And if you have intellectually satisfied yourself, the money would not even lure you. So you have come to a standard where you can spend your life in a lot less. And I think that is in itself an achievement, that you can declutter your life from quite a lot of things that people unnecessarily go for. And that can only come by acquiring knowledge, that can only come by ascertaining where you are going in life, and not just by a mad drive for wealth and money. So I think this is how the teenagers have to be answered, and this can only be answered by people who have got to that level and who have actually been through that path. So I mean, one of the best quotes that I heard from Mother Teresa, and she said that in life we are called upon to be faithful and not to be successful. Success is something that may come and may not come, but what is must for us is that we have to be faithful to the path of truth and to the path of hard work. That is all. And success, the definition of success keeps on changing.
That's really very intellectual. But the Yasir, the fact is that it's not easy where you have gone, the place you have you reached at that place. It's not easy for everyone. It's not a cup of tea of every youth to reach over there. So what is your advice for them? Suppose if they are attracted towards such profession and towards such work in their
Right.
life. So what is your advice
Yeah.
for them?
So
How they can reach over?
Yes, exactly. No, I'm going to answer your question in terms of career now. So, if you want to become a scientist, or it is in you to want to become acquire a path which actually leads you to become a scientist, you have to first tell yourself that you are into the field of science for long haul. That is the most important bit. Of course, most of the families in India many a times are not able to afford that much. And I was lucky enough to belong to a family where there was chip on both of my shoulders, and I could study as long as I wanted to. So that is the basic bit. You have to uh, look for courses that may not be very professionally appropriate, or that gives you a job immediately after your fourth year. So most of the times you start with a bachelor's degree in science, like BSc, and then you go from doing masters, which is again a 2 year course in India. And thereafter, if you still want to pursue for a PhD, whether from India or from abroad, uh, most of these, as children may not know, the PhD is well funded, and you actually get paid to do research, although that is not as ample as you would find in any other fields. But once you have passed that hard nut, when once you have cracked that hard nut of PhD, which is definitely very, very demanding, that is when the your applicability as a highly skilled individual opens for not just a particular country, but for the rest of the world. So I think the way we can lure students into this profession is, or to become a scientist, is that in this world where, you know, by if you are into some other profession, you would be restricted by geography with the kind of job that you want to have. Whereas as a scientist, the whole world is your oyster. You can, at the drop of your hat, because the scientists all over the world are so much in demand. These are the most highly skilled set of people, and you would never run out of job in that sense. So I think that is one side of the facet of science that we can lure students by. But at the same time, I think it comes down to the teaching in schools, especially when the students enter into their higher secondary classes, as to that is when we have to kind of push students to be critical in their thinking. And once they develop that critical thinking, I think science is something, or understanding science or being scientist is something that will be of value to them.
Thank you very much. Now, let me ask a few things about your personal likings and dislikings and your hobbies. So, since how long you have been in UK now? I think for the last
I've been here for now 6 years now.
six
Yes.
years. So, 6 years in UK and 6 years in India. If we compare, then
Mhm.
what's your opinion on that?
So, well, again, there are two sides to this thing. One is personal and one is professional. Of course, India is where I grew up. Delhi is the place that I grew up in. I have all my friends, my relatives there, and yeah, at one moment, I mean, if it were not for the curiosity of science, or for a career, I might have well stayed in India and have muddled along. But it was also the drive for continuing on with this career and gaining excellence that brought me here 6 years ago. Um, of course, the last 6 years in that terms have been very rewarding to me. Alhamdulillah, that I have acquired an immense amount of skill and knowledge that is both highly regarded by the industry and by academia. So, in that sense, the last 6 years in UK have been very rewarding. As a country, this is one of the most fascinating countries I can speak of in the world. It is breathtaking in its beauty, in its natural beauty, in its historical beauty, in its culture, in its vibrancy. Of course, there is a lot of richness that I also got from India that now that I bring here. So, and when I compare from that lens, it just adds to my everyday richness and experience of life. And I think I'm blessed to have spent all those years in India, because there's always a fresh perspective to things when I see things here in UK. And there's a lot of in every part of life, there's a lot of difference and there are a lot of similarities. And I think because having spent so much time in India, I can both understand and appreciate and the differences and the similarities that are there between these two different worlds, if I can say so.
So last 6 years are very rewarding in terms of skill acquisition and in terms of knowledge. That's very true. Now, Yasir, you just let me know that you have spoken about last 6 years, but now I'm speaking about last 6 months, because last
Mhm.
6 months has disturbed a lot. In the entire world is suffering, and most of the people they have developed the negative thoughts about COVID-19, and they always complain and grumble, and some of them have started saying that 2020 just minus from your life, there is nothing in 2020. Some of us have advised that you consider that in this year, if you are surviving, you are fortunate. Don't think of about any profit or any earnings or anything. How Yasir is looking at these 6 months or 8 months?
Well, again, ma'am, because thankfully being a scientist here came into some kind of pre-knowledge that in the very beginning, I knew what were we in, and I was not lured by the in talk of the media or the industry or the people around that this is something that is going to pass away very soon, because we have known what pandemics are. We know what a virus is, and I knew we were in for long haul. But at the same time, thankfully, I also knew that it is not a gloom and doom situation, and it was supposed to be cast in, or it was being portrayed in the beginning. For me, there's a lot of things that have changed, and I'm continuously looking at it. I was, of course, working from home for for the first 4 months. Only from last 2 months have I started going to my work site, but that too in shift, so the work has not come up to that level. And yes, ma'am, you are right that if people it is something that is going to create fissures throughout the world, because in a globalized world, in a world that is literally connected, a kind of pandemic that we have seen in this century, the far off regions that it has reached has not been reached by the earlier pandemics that have came centuries ago. So in that sense, it is a real disruptor of everything. The effect of it would be definitely a lot of things would turn for good, hopefully. But then, yes, with any catastrophe in the world or any sudden event, there are quite a few casualties that will take place, not just in terms of life, but also in terms of the surroundings around her, the culture, the ecosystem people live in, the kind of thoughts people come up with. And yes, but it is, I think, comes all the way to our own selves as to which side do we want to believe in, and which part of it are we comfortable telling ourselves, because we are in it for good or bad. Yeah.
Past is always better than present. Do you believe in
Truly,
this?
ma'am. And this is one of the fallacies that we all fall into uh, all the time. Yes.
So you agree that past is always better than the present?
Because we have control over our past, we don't have control over our future. Past is something that we can, no matter how it was, but the way how we want to think about it, we can think about it. And of course, if we want to think about it in a good way, it just appears so good. But then while we were in that moment, we were cursing even that moment. So yes, it's all about the attitude that you have towards your past, and in the same breath, the kind of attitude that you can have towards the coming future. Yes, I mean, it is easier said than done to be upbeat, to be happy, to be in a good and jovial mood when things are falling apart uh, in front of you, when your life is on the balance, is hanging on the balance. It can be flipped over any other way. uh, but the way these things are going, I'm very hopeful that in the next 6 months or so, the most of the countries in the world would see some light on the kind of policies to adopt to go forward in the post-COVID world. and because at the moment we are just in the very middle of it, and once we reach almost the summer of 2021, hopefully there would be enough data that will come from uh, all over the world to give us some light as to what is at the end of this dark tunnel. And until then, I think we just have to do our best and hope for the best. And that is all that we humans have existed for, uh, to hope in a thing, as Emily Dickinson said, hope is a thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings a tune without a song and never stops at all. So we just have to keep singing to the tune of hope.
Well, Yasir, if Yasir is not a scientist, then what?
As I said, it's a constant process of self-discovery. I would let you know the answer as soon as I get it. But yeah, I wanted to be many things at once. I probably would have been a stand-up comedian.
Oh, that's very like very unique that you want to be a comedian. Do you have that instinct in you, like the humorous nature?
Well, at the moment, I'm a comedy for others, but then I would have made comedy and would have made other people laugh for something that was coming out of my mouth, but not out of my character.
Okay, so like it's very difficult to laugh and then to make others laugh. So if you are going to take up that role, I think that role is going to be tougher and more challenging than your present role. This is my
Well,
opinion.
that could be a matter of opinion. At least I'll have a laugh at my own self, if not anything, at the end of the day. So yeah, as somebody said, science is comedy if you look it from the other way around, as in because you fail so much, and the scientists actually grow habitual to failures, and as a result, when success comes, or when we put up a hypothesis and that goes eventually right and that succeeds, it is a weird feeling, and that is when we take a deep laugh about the life, because that is when knowledge has been invented, something new has come to the world, and that in a sense is both good and humorous.
Yes, you are absolutely right. Actually, failure is everywhere and everybody fails. But the difference is that when the scientists fail, that becomes a history and that is registered and everybody comes to know. So, Yasir, we have
No,
come to our, yes, yeah, yeah, please.
absolutely. I mean, to those who are watching this and to those who will watch it if they are young, I always say that you hardly learn anything in life from your winnings, whereas an act of failure is a great teacher. Failing is inevitable. Everybody loses. But you cannot have constant success. The trick is not to make a habit of failing. So once in a while, you keep on succeeding, and that is what. But do keep an eye on your losings and why you're losing, and that is something that will be giving you a lot of learning.
Yeah, that's very true. So, Yasir, we come to the end of our interview, and I just request you to give some advices to the young generation. And if Yasir is not a scientist, so from my side, I'll give you one position or one role. I can say that you can be a very good motivator or a counselor. So please find some
Ah,
time to motivate your young generation and motivate your young brothers and sisters. So, what is your advice for them?
I think I have nothing to declare except, as Einstein said, as Oscar Wilde said, I have nothing to declare except my genius. But more than anything, I think I would just uh, the way I look back in life, just be curious and just try to understand what knowledge is. Not that, I mean, before acquiring knowledge, just try to understand what it is. And I think that is one of the most beautiful discoveries in life that you can make, is the very idea of knowledge. And for that, you have to be among the people who have this curiosity for knowledge that will lead you far and above than you can imagine. And school, the culture of school that you come from is all about, and it's at the moment paranoid with success. So just when you get away from that, have it take it your life, and try to see whether you have curiosity for knowledge. And I think once you develop that feeling, that will take you very high and very far.
Thank you very much, Yasir. Thank you for being with me. And
Thank you, ma'am.
whatever story you have so far, I think I wish you all the best for even brighter future, and then more prospects of success. But whatever success you have achieved, your story is very inspiring, and I know how much hard work and efforts you have put in to reach to this position. So may Almighty always bless you, and may all your dreams come true. And with this small prayer, I would like to say goodbye to you.
Thank you,
And then
ma'am. I
inshallah
wish you
we'll
all the
come back
success,
again.
inshallah, and may Allah bless you with the best. And yeah, it's been a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you very much. And thank you, my dear friends. If you want to contact Mr. Yasir Malik, you just write in the comment box. We'll convey your message to Yasir, and he is always available to get back to the younger brothers and sisters and help them out. Thank you very much.